Hello, Mom, Dad, Meat World. So we are obviously not at home, and so what I want to do was uh, touch base a little bit, and that was the computer just hitting the ground in the bag. I was hoping the bag was more padded, but we have here our 14-inch MacBook Pro, and it's been about 1 month since we've actually had the computer. I wanted to give you a little bit of my thoughts since having this computer for about a month, and especially coming from the 16-inch M3 Max unbin model compared to this model right here. So I do got to say, as far as speed and power goes, it is really not limited at all by the computer. More of the limitation you're going to get is more or less your internet speed, if the internet speed is what you are going for in terms of what you are doing as far as checking email, going from website to website, anything that demands fast internet. But as far as actual onboard computing with this computer itself, it's been nothing but phenomenal. No beach balls, no anything weird like that, with a couple exceptions, and we'll talk about that here very soon. What I do mainly with this computer is record footage, and I've actually got the camera right here. Other than this camera right here, which I'm actually recording this right now on the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 that you're seeing me on, so it's going to look a little bit different, but typically we record with this guy right here. This is the Sony a7 IV, and this is what we typically do, and we record in 10-bit Sony 422 and typically 4K 60 or 4K 24 depending on what we're doing and what our use case is. So also in H.265, 100 megabits per second, so it is very compressed footage. And so the biggest challenge is taking that footage depending on how, I want to say how jittery it is, because sometimes when you do shoot handheld, like what we do most of the time, I want to say, is that it does get a little bit shaky, and you want to stabilize that out. So we use Catalyst Browse. So Catalyst Browse definitely does cause the fans to spin up quite a bit. And when the fans do spin up, you notice it, you hear it, it's audible. And the very first time we'd actually used Catalyst Browse on this computer, I was opening up some clips, and what you do is you open them and then you analyze them, and then on one side you've got the shaky footage, the other side you've got what the footage is going to look like after Catalyst Browse does its thing, and you hit the playback button, except the issue was it was very stuttery. It was only playing back at like 1 or 2 frames per second, and it would just pause, and it was like, okay, what is wrong with this? Because our M1 13-inch MacBook Pro can play that back without issue, and that has 16 gigs of memory compared to this computer right here, which has 36 gigs of memory. So I thought that was a little odd. So that, I do got to say, was a one-off, because we closed down the computer, turned it back on, and lo and behold, it played back without issues, and I did not have any issues after that. And since then, there have been about 3 dozen or so clips that have been stabilized with this computer, and it plays back without any problems, no issues whatsoever. So I do got to say that was maybe just a one-off with that time. What I'm doing right now is stabilizing a clip here, and I've got it on my lap right here too, and it's actually not too hot at all, and it does have a case on it. So another thing to add here is that I am running this completely off of battery power. I don't have anything hooked up to it. This is the only program running, and it's doing the stabilization roughly in about double the time. About half the time of the original clip, not double the time. Even though it does take a while to do the stabilization using Sony's Catalyst Browse, is that, well, if I were to do this on the Mac Mini, this 12-minute clip would probably take 20 to 30 plus minutes to actually stabilize on the M2 Mac Mini desktop. So this is actually not too bad here. And with battery life, that computer does eat through the battery life when it's using Catalyst Browse, but for everyday, day-to-day use, if I'm just doing office work, that computer will last approximately 2 days, and that is 8 hours per day or so of just office work, checking email, getting on the web, doing office tasks, no problems, no issues. If I'm mixing in a little bit of photo editing, a little bit of video editing, and office work, I get a good 8 hours of use, which is still really, really amazing. But again, something like Catalyst Browse will eat that battery up in less than 1 hour. So next up, we've had some questions about the display. Is the display good enough? Do you regret it over the 16-inch? And I do gotta say, the display is great. It's mini LED, 120 hertz, ProMotion. It's a fantastic IPS display. It is sharp. The thing you do get with the 16-inch, you can put more windows, you've got just more space, and you've got that same awesome display, but in a bigger size in the 16-inch. And long and short of it, great displays on both of them, but you are just going to be more immersed in that 16-inch screen. And there's no two ways about it. That 16 is just a bigger, more immersive display. I'm not going to say better, but it is truly bigger. So here is something else I've noticed with sound. So like I've said in the other previous videos, the sound is loud, it's clear, it's excellent sound, but it doesn't have as much bass. But I do think, and this is speaking with the 14-inch model, 16-inch is the same, loud and clear, except it has that low-end punch, which is phenomenal for even a 16-inch machine. But here's the thing a lot of people don't talk about, or at least I haven't heard much, but it's listening to music at low volumes, especially when it is very quiet around the house and you do not want to wake or disturb others. But listening at the lower sounds, lower volumes, it has been really, really good because it's really high quality sound, but it's nice and quiet in a good way, but you know there's some good power to them. It's just like listening to like a nice pair of Bose speakers at like low volume, and you know there's some good oomph behind it. So I do gotta say that has been very surprising, but in a good way surprising to have that nice quality sound even at that low volume. So one of the questions I've been asked is, hey, do you regret going from the 16 to the 14? I absolutely do not, because in where we are at right here, we are actually down, obviously we're not down home, we are traveling, we're out and about, and I absolutely do not regret going from the 16 to 14 for my personal use case because I do a lot more travel. So if I were to do this differently, I would probably get both if I could. I think I've said this before in previous videos or answers that if I could have both computers, I definitely would. I would probably keep the 16 more local because it's a bigger computer, that display is immersive, and with that 16-inch chassis, it's just going to provide a little bit more power because it can cool that CPU, that M3 Max. And I get the unbinned version, the 40-core GPU and the 16-core unbinned CPU, and I think that would be a really, really good computer. I know I've had it before. It is a phenomenal computer, but then I would also get this computer probably next. I would probably get the 16 first and then go with the 14. I say that because like we shop at Best Buy quite a bit, and I've seen a lot of 14-inch open box models, and I think it'd be a lot easier to pick up the 14 open box rather than to, I'd say, pick up like a 16 open box, because you want that 16 where you've got the most power and it's almost going to be like your desktop version, and then the 14 is your portable powerhouse where it's light, it's compact, and you just take it anywhere and everywhere with you. Like we're down here sitting, eating, drinking a little bit of coffee, and then working on work stuff, working on these videos, and it's really the best of both worlds, but I'd get both if I could. So one more thing to note, when you do buy a brand new MacBook Pro, it'll prompt you when you go into your settings if you want to buy AppleCare Plus, which I did. You can either buy a 3-year or the subscription year-to-year. I just did the year-to-year $99
for the Year Plus tax. And I did this because in case anything does happen to the display, I know myself, I am a little bit on the clumsy side, or if I knock the body into stuff, which I have several times as you've seen in previous videos, I definitely do want to get the Apple Care Plus. So that's what I did. That's my own personal preference on it.
So one last thing to say is this has been our experience, our review about 1 month in, going from the 16-inch MacBook Pro M3 Max unbin version to the 14-inch MacBook Pro M3 Max bin version. That is a 30-core GPU and 14-core CPU. And if my facts on that are off, well, I'll flash them up here on the video. But if you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps out our channel. And until next time, bye for now. Thanks for watching.